Hey Techno Studs, let's do another one of these. I hope you're enjoying the troubleshooting exercises for two reasons. Number one is because they can be really fun. They can be enjoyable because it's like a little puzzle you have to solve. So there are workbooks that I've gone out and gotten with little puzzles that I have to solve. This is the same type of thing. So it can actually be very enjoyable. It can be frustrating at times as well. But I also hope you are enjoying these to a certain degree because it's a big part of the industry and what you have to do when you're working with this equipment. So let's jump into our next issue right here. So I have a command prompt. Guess what is the first thing that I'm going to ping is? I'm going to ping clear across the network to my demo Pi. And I'm going to do that so that way I can see if I have any issues. So 10.1.10. That one is 21, so I'm going to do that. And yes, in fact, I do see that there is an issue pinging across this network. Once again, I have to decide where is this break. And I can ping switch 2 and see if I even just have some basic connectivity. Switch 1, I can ping switch 1. That's more the divide and conquer method. Or I can ping switch 3 and work my way backwards with this and see where the break is. For this type of thing, I typically like to start with a more closer and then work my way out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ping switch 1, which switch 1's IP address is 10.1.10.12. Excuse me, this is switch 2, my closest switch that I'm plugged into. So I'm going to hit that. I do have connectivity there. And so this is a little different. In my last two issues that we had, we didn't even have connectivity to switch 2. So I get connectivity between the demo laptop and switch 2. That makes me think that the demo laptop is probably configured correctly, that this link to the switch is plugged into the right port, that switch 2 is set up correctly. So I'm probably okay with that. So now let me see if I can go to the next step, which is switch 1. So I'm going to type in the IP address for switch 1, and now I have an issue. So now I have that connectivity issue with this. All right, so I'm going to jump on to switch 2. And one of my favorite commands again, show IP interface brief. I hit that, and I know that I have connectivity to this switch. So I'm not so concerned with 34 at this point in time. I don't believe that that's going to be what our issue is. But what I am concerned about is what type of connectivity do we have to the other switch here? So I'm going to scroll through here and I can see that it is up as well. So I do have this connectivity to that other switch. So now I have connectivity. One thing I could do with this is, do I even have connectivity from this switch to the other switch? So I'm going to ping 10.1.10.11 and see if I have that. I'll give that a second to go through. And it doesn't look like it's coming through. So I feel like there's something wrong with this link right here between switch 2 and switch 1. And what I can do is I can start investigating. It could be what the configuration is on switch 2. It could be what the configuration is on switch 1. I'm already on switch 2, so I might as well take a look at that. I'm going to do a show run interface FA047. Hit enter. And I look through here, got the description on it. Description's really not going to cause any problems. Native VLAN 2, that sounds correct. I've got my trunk. It's allowed VLAN 2, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 150. That all sounds correct. The main one that I'm concerned about is the 10 on here. I see that. Switch port mode access. Aha! Switch port mode access. What I really want is switch port mode trunk. So what I'm going to do is set up a continuous ping here to see when I fix the issue. Then I'm going to come on here and I want to change that to be a trunk port. So I'm going to get into my global configuration mode, get into my interface FA0 47, and we're in there, and switch port mode trunk, and hit enter right there. Now this should set up this line as being a trunk, and that VLAN 10 should go across it. So we're going to give this a second. Similar to what we saw in our last one, it takes a little bit for the communication to happen. What's happening is that there's some spanning tree protocol that's happening between these two switches before it establishes a connection. It wants to make sure that it's safe to bring this line up. And we'll talk more about that in a couple modules, but we'll give it a second and see if this comes back up. We're back up and running, things are communicating, and now I have connectivity to switch 1, and things are good. Probably what should be doing with this is finishing up and wrapping up by pinging the demo Pi one, but I'm not too concerned about that. At this point in time, I now know that we've fixed this issue.